So, if you missed it, there's been some drama. There's been some huge changes in the Rivals scene. The devs broke Clarin. Again, let's watch. Clementine shared this video right after the recent patch. So a patch came out the same day this was shared. And that is Clarin stopping the charge of the full neutral special and apparently storing it. Like, you can still see there's the flash, stores it, and then has access to more. So I don't know how this works. Like, apparently there was, it's a glitch clearly, but apparently there was because like, there's no way that they did this intentional. Like, if someone sees this and they're like, oh, the devs balanced Clarin in this way, they're done. From what I did when I was reading more into it, this is a very, very, like, frame perfect thing. This is hard to do to get the storage glitch. People are saying, like, you're never gonna be able to do this in a real match. Well, if you're unaware, people already don't like Clarin. And there's been some problems with some of the recent patches. Like, some of the recent patches genuinely have had some issues where controllers have been broken. They're working on it. Every patch has had a lot of controller updates and fixes. What it's supposed to do is it's supposed to make it so that we will be much more set for the next 10 years of Rivals to have, like, really solid foundation from controllers. But let's talk about the Clarin stuff. As you can guess, people aren't super happy about this. Here are some of the responses to this. How the hell does this even happen? WTF skull. Just, oh, ... Zap just gets excited about the idea of Clarin having projectiles and says to give her little tiny daggers. So Zap is chill with all of this, actually. Other things, you're gonna hate today's patch. Disaster Dave, who's in chat? I've heard this is a frame 1 thing, but yeah, that shit's gonna get patched soon, which you're right. In fact, Disaster Dave did what any good upstanding citizen of the Rivals community would do and submitted a noteboard request. Here, this is where you can, like, actually put that, like, if you find bugs or you find issues in the game, you can submit them to the noteboard. Major bug with Clarin. There's this glitch that popped up recently. It's a frame 1 window. It seems pretty strong. We need to fix this, whatever. All right. Other people are like, that's crazy, but we get it. These people are more upset. First, they fuck up my controls. Now they pull whatever the hell this is. But that wouldn't be new. The last 3 patches have been sucko. Here, this one. This game is a joke, LMAO. Some of my friends who don't play Rivals as much, I'm in a Discord with them in a net play thing. And people pinged me being like, what the fuck is going on? And I see this with the joke thing, new Clarin buff, just a small buff. She needs a little something, honestly. And then one person just cat gif, that's fucked up. But yeah, these are people that aren't as plugged into Rivals that literally pinged me to be like, hey, what's going on? Toothbrush and Rottweiler, 2 good players. Another fucking game-breaking patch, and it buffs Clarin. Fucking fantastic. Rottweiler just says, I'm in a nightmare, all caps. This person's just pissed. I refuse to believe this is the full Rivals patch. There's no universe where leaving Clarin in her current state for another month is remotely okay. By the way, someone under my post about this told me that there was no hate going to the devs at all. So that person's just fucking wrong, but you know, whatever. They were like, no one has ever said anything bad about this game to the devs. No, people are genuinely very upset about this. I know I ain't played in a couple months, but what the fuck is happening in Rivals 2 right now? Why can Clarin put a switch on her fully charged laser? People are not happy, which is why I'm glad to tell you that this isn't real, it's a mod. To be clear, this isn't real. It's a mod I made. It's not actually in the game. Don't yell at the devs, y'all. They do good work. Someone else who shared part of it. I feel like things have gotten out of hand, so I'm clearing it up. No, Clarin cannot store a neutral laser. The videos posted have been from a specific mod that changes Clarin's neutral special among a few friends. The problem is that some of these people are in on the joke and others aren't. I showed you a bunch of screenshots of people. About 2 or 3 of those people knew that this was a mod. Everyone else thought that this was real. Rottweiler, I'm really sorry if you see this. I'm pretty sure you thought this was real. Toothbrush knew. This wasn't serious. I was trying to contribute to the bait. Toothbrush, Lynn, Clementine, they didn't mean this to be anything bad. They meant this as to be a joke. The problem is these kind of jokes happen a lot and every single time. every single time people do not realize it's a joke. So here, the person who said, LMAO, what is this game? I'll own up and said I was posting in bad faith, but it's sad I wouldn't have surprised if it was real, which is the dumbest argument I ever hear, and I hear this about a lot of things. You know, it's a bad state on the game that I thought this could have been real. No! What are you talking about? This was my comment in the disc that my friends are in. It's a mod, it's not real. And then my friend, my good friend Sean, friend of the channel, I assumed it was a glitch, not a mod, but I didn't think it was real. Which he means that he thought it was really in the game, but he didn't think it was like a balanced decision. Genuinely, a ton of people thought that this was legitimate. And this got to the point that even Dan had to comment on it. Why do modders hate us? Why not just post that you made a mod instead of passing it off as real and getting the internet masses who are already rightfully mad at us about the controller update, which I mentioned, but now they're even more mad at us about something that isn't real. And so Clementine, which I have met Clementine in person, she's wonderful. She did not mean this maliciously. Posted several spots being like, hey, this is fake, this was a mod, we didn't. Lynn also apologized and was like, hey, I didn't expect this to catch on. People hadn't seen the game be modded like this. Yeah, people have really only seen visual mods. The problem is, before Workshop, because Workshop was in Rivals 1, without Workshop, people just see these things and they assume that it is a real thing that is happening in the real live version of the game. Now here's the kicker. This happened before this anyways. This is not the only time that this has happened to the Rivals scene. Let me introduce you to Big Shovel Presents the Shovel Knight tech. This was from Rivals 1. For about a week, a bunch of top players like Squanto, MSB, LP, a bunch of folks had been saying like, hey, we think we found something broken with Shovel Knight. We think we found a Shovel Knight tech that puts him from, at the point, was considered to be one of the worst characters in the game. And they're like, no, dude, Shovel Knight's going to be top tier. Shovel Knight is going to be the best character in the game if people start learning this. And then they put out this video. This is the Shovel Knight tech. To this day, when people say the Shovel Knight tech, they mean this. Me and LB might have just discovered a Shovel Knight tech that will break Rivals. I'm calling bullshit. First to 10. Yeah, I got time. This is the MSB Squanto first to 10. So hits him, full charge. And if you don't know, in Rivals 1, when you do a full charge of that move, the down strong, it pops up a giant rock. But MSB also got hit by something out here. You see him pop up. And now he's just getting hit every time Squanto hits the rock. Guys, we've got move storage again. We've got another move storage glitch. It's the up strong. Yes, you're right. Not the down strong. Up strong. I'm calling for help. If you get hit during your up smash at either the early frames of charging it or the early frames of releasing it, it makes the Shovel Knight rock hit everything while airborne. Shoutouts to the big SK Tech believers, aka Big Shovel. This was the Shovel Knight tech. What the fuck? Big Shovel is real. Oh. Should have pulled it out in a major without telling anybody. It's just like the invisible ceiling on crack. It's the funniest shit I've ever seen. This can't be real. I've been trying for a while and can't get it to work at all. So that person's trying to figure it out. Are we just calling this the SK Tech, or does it get a cool name? It is still just called the SK Tech. Dan, your game is broken. What the hell? It's like the Melee PK Thunder Jacket. Yeah, you can take solace in the fact that they're patching this out ASAP. Yeah, thankfully. Once again, this isn't real. This one I thought was way more obvious even that this was broken. This came out after Workshop. This is a Workshop mod for Shovel Knight. Works on the dev team. It said real bugs are hard enough to track down, dude. Don't fake me out on this. Real devs spent time figuring out if this was real or not. And I was reminded about this because people are making jokes saying, I don't want anybody to complain about Rivals 2 patches when Rivals 1 players had to deal with this. Where I was like, oh, I forgot about this. The community was smaller then. This was much more of a, I'd say it was like 50-50 on people knowing that this was real and people knowing that this was clearly something was going on. Half the people in here, like Mishap, she is aware. They know that like something's happening. I'm gonna be avoiding the game until this is fixed. They're friends with most of the people involved in this. Steven, SBS, is the one who broke the news. This was a private workshop mod that had not been shared publicly. It's actually incredible how many people fall for this shit. This also wasn't real. And this was more of a community joke where enough people knew that this wasn't real, that like some people got mad and thought it was broken, but devs spent time trying to figure out if it was real or not. Like, everything's going on. So I'd say like this is more on the like it's a little bit more clear it's a joke. The one that happened yesterday with Claren and Rivals 2, people don't know is like there's still people in chat that didn't know that it was fake until they watched this. Sandberry says, I assume this is bug. Other people are like, I hope they keep this in just because it's funny. If it's difficult and a frame perfect trick, why would you get mad at the devs for letting it slip by testing? I'm reading people in my chat right now. In fact, let me show this on chat just so that I have proof for the video later, all right? But we got one more. This was actually a leak before Rivals 2 came out of what someone was saying was Rivals cart. This is not the original one. This is a lot harder to talk about because the original one was deleted. So this is just Cherry, one of the like the main NASBTO, who is just like making a joke. But like this original video was shared as, hey, I have a leak from Rivals 2. Rockwall, 3 laps. So like this was the leak of the 3D assets from Rivals. And people popped off. And everyone in chat right now is like, oh dude, it'd be so cool if they made an actual kart racer. People were furious. People were pissed off. And unfortunately, I can't find those posts anymore because like I said, the original one was deleted. Because this was before Rivals 2 came out, but it was after the Kickstarter. So the Rivals team started getting hate threads on like major message boards like Reddit and IGN and like under major videos saying, how dare you take our money that we spent on getting a platform fighter and use it to make a kart racer instead? How dare you bait and switch us? How dare you steal the money that we gave to you for the Kickstarter? They got roasted. They got hate about this. And as people have said, this plays like Air Ride, and that's because it's an Air Ride mod. They pulled it into Blender, and they stole the assets from one of the Rivals beta builds. So this was the leak for Oxalotl Orcane, by the way. People didn't know that this character existed. Again, this wasn't Cherry. This wasn't Cherry. Cherry's just sharing this as a joke now. Now people look back on this fondly because it's just this funny thing. At the time, this is George talking about what they were experiencing. Pretty shitty that the Rivals kart creator called it a leak and didn't just say they made it. We're still getting hate messages for wasting time on this mode, misappropriating funds for this mode, etc. And this was at least a month after the leak. The Rivals team got a ton of backlash about this because a lot of people saw this and went, I donated money to this Kickstarter to get a game that I am paying for, and they spent it to make a totally different thing. This is at least 3 big times where about half the people knew it was a joke, and about half the people thought that it was real and got super mad. John Orcane, who was the person who shared the original mod, that we still don't know who John Orcane is, says, yes, the Rivals kart footage is fake. My goal with the project was to throw a little chaos into the mix against all the real build leaks, because if you don't know, the real build was getting leaked. There was a lot of talk about Persona 6 at this time, and that's because that's what the leaked build was being shared under. So if people in the Rivals scene, if you knew people that were talking about playing Persona 6 in like February or March of 2024, they were playing the leaked build. I assumed that the community would quickly come to understand the video was fake. I was wrong. I'm not tweeting this to try and justify my actions. I'm trying to tweet this to mitigate any additional harassment made against the real devs. I have deleted the original post, which is why I couldn't find like a lot of the backlash about this. And that's why I just had to show George's comment on here, because George doesn't talk on Twitter much, even though he's the community dev. He doesn't, because he gets a lot of hate from this kind of thing. So the fact that George was like, it's really shitty that this all happened, meant that it was serious. Also, the Rivals devs have literally said, hey, we love it when people make mods. That's really cool. But like, this is also, they support modding. They just want you to tell people that it's a mod. And it's different when it's a visual mod of like, I made this skin or whatever. But when you are modding just mechanics and you don't tell people, especially when you, like the thing that started all of this, you post it with a bunch of question marks the day of a patch, I get why people believe it. For anybody holding out hope that this is some sort of marketing trick by the devs, here are some work in project screenshots and footage. I didn't use the same game engine. This kind of stuff is cool. If they posted, I made a mod of Rockwall for Rivals Cart, people would be like, oh, this is sick. Passing off mods or passing off leaks as being real has now happened at least 3 times in the Rivals scene and gotten a bunch of people genuinely super upset. And it's so frustrating that this keeps happening. And it's a different person every time. It's not like it's one modder that keeps doing stuff and we keep falling for. I don't think any of the people involved intentionally wanted the devs to get hate for this kind of thing. But I do think that we need to have a serious conversation on like, hey, stop doing this. Don't stop making mods. Those are cool. Stop tricking people into thinking that it's real. All 3 of the jokes were funny. No, they are funny. That's the weird thing, is that they all are funny. It's just, you gotta make it clear at the end of the video or at the end of whatever that it is a mod or that this isn't real. That's all you need to do. This is just a like, hey guys, why does this keep happening? What's going on? Why? Why are we like this? I do want to say, there's been a couple of things that people have mentioned of like, why does the community keep doing this? And that is a great question. I think one, for some reason, people have a really bad faith view on the dev team. I think part of a reason for that is because the devs are so open on social media. Like, Dan has talked about going on Twitter and Reddit and reading Steam reviews, and like, people know that if they post about something, there's a very good chance the devs see it. And they know that there's a good chance that it genuinely can affect one of the next upcoming patches. And I think that's part of the thing, is that when the devs are so open, which is a great double-edged sword, it is a huge pro and a huge con of like, the accessibility is amazing. I wouldn't be able to run my events without the dev team being like super down to work with me and do other stuff. But you also have the people that are like, if I'm upset about this, maybe they'll see it. It's because the devs are accessible online. I genuinely think that's the reason. Because you see this with 2XKO right now as well. The fact that when I stream or like in my videos, I get comments in my YouTube section, or I get comments in, or like posts on my chat when I'm streaming that are all this kind of thing. I'm like, I'm not even a dev. You're just complaining to me because I'm a known person in the community. That's it. The fact that I get a bunch of questions, I'm like, I don't even work for them. I've also been really annoyed at some of the patches before. What are you talking about? This is basically like, all of the really in community understands that these are all a joke. And then it gets out to further people, and then there's a bunch of like, people who play Rivals sometimes, or they play it but they don't study it, or they play it but they don't take it seriously, that are like, what do you mean they did this thing? Today's lesson was not, hey, the community hates the devs for some reason. It was, hey, why does it keep happening about this one very specific situation? Like, it's not just like, oh, the devs are getting hate. It's very specifically why does it keep happening after someone has made a mod that they think everyone will get is fake and then everyone thinks is real? That was more of it's the equivalent of I'd only have 2 nickels, but it's weird that it's happened twice, except it's, I would get 3 nickels and it's weird that it had happened thrice. It's both funny and sad to see why they get this frustrated. I was more frustrated yesterday. I am playing this up for the video, let's be clear. It's funnier if I yell about it. But I do think the entire thing's real dumb.